Hi there, it's Brian Bram here from Eagles Wings Community Church. Another blog post. This one is a introduction video on a blog series that I'm doing on theologizing in the Emergent Church, which is a class that I'm taking in school. And so it's definitely worthwhile checking out the actual written part of the blog as well if you haven't already. This particular visit, I've been doing a number of church visits, various kinds of churches, and this is now finally the church visit that I made to an actual self-declared emergent church. And so I had a very good visit there, and it was definitely a unique experience. But the video is really focused on two things. We basically, in the blog written part, explore four major themes for the Emergent Church, and then we do a fifth one in the video. So that is the theme of space, and then I cover a little bit about two interviews that I did at the with members of the church itself. So in regards to the overall theme of space, obviously the Emergent Church has a major focus on space, how to use space, and so they're going to fare well sort of against their own criteria when it comes to this. So they're much more pushing towards eliminating sacred space, I guess, and really feeling like, I think, or my impression is that they're feeling like the story of the gospel is pointed in the direction of a reduction of sacred space, if not a total elimination. But so this church did that really pretty well. The church is situated in a building that is an older church, so the church was originally set up with sort of a main stage, or lately I've been receiving some people would rather have me call that an altar. Whatever we want to call it, it's kind of a high-rise area that everyone sort of faces, and so this church has that, but that isn't really where the speaker or speakers on some occasions sit. So this one is really more in the center, kind of in a swivel chair. So what was interesting then is not only is the altar or main stage not sacred like it is in a lot of places. Sacred kind of meaning basic members of the congregation a lot of times don't really go up there unless there's a particular reason that they need to. But in this particular church, people were pretty much everywhere. There wasn't really anywhere, even kind of the swivel stool, which I thought going in, I thought, I bet you at least the stool is kind of a sacred space. But no, there were kids playing on it and so on and so forth, and I kind of got a kick out of that. So there really wasn't anywhere sort of designated where people really couldn't go, at least that I could see. Other than, I suppose, the restrooms. If you're a guy, go in the guy's restroom, and so on and so forth. So that was really about it. Other than that, I think it seemed to me that just about anyone could go just about anywhere. So although time kind of affected it a little bit, obviously once the service kind of got started, then the stool kind of needed to be left for the people that would need to sit in it, of course. But other than that, interesting use of the theme of space. In my interviews, they really followed along very much like a lot of my interviews. In most of the interviews that I did, people really seemed to like their church, whatever type of a church it was. Very often they sort of defended the ways of their church and such, and really that wasn't very much different in these particular interviews. A few things that kind of stood out while I went through the interviews. kind of continued on with, once I asked the question about how's Christian education done, there was always sort of this line of demarcation that was drawn between kids and adults. It was interesting that the adults had in this particular church a lot of sort of events, different events, such as kind of maybe going through different books, books of the Bible, and sometimes even, and actually on the occasion that I went, there was a sort of, I guess, secular book, if you want to call it that, a non-sort of Christian focus book that was talked about quite a bit. So very often people are encouraged to check out other books like that, and I experienced that firsthand. Another interesting thing is that apparently the sort of lead pastor, I don't think he goes by that title, but I'm not sure what his title is off the top of my head, so we'll just call it that. He's a clear leader of the group, and apparently it's not uncommon, probably on a weekly basis, they have kind of a pre-sermon meeting where people from really anyone who wants to go can go in, and they'll kind of cover what they're going to talk about. You know, if it's a particular scripture, which it seems like is on most occasions, then they'll talk about that scripture, and they'll sort of generate some ideas and do some brainstorming ahead of time, sort of collaboratively as a group. And you know, I really like that. I really like that idea. Also, the people that I interviewed definitely verified that there was a strong environment of discussion. And it wasn't just discussion that took place within the church, but I was surprised to hear that that there was a lot of discussion that was encouraged even outside of the church walls. So people were encouraged to get together on their own and have discussion. So there are apparently a lot of seminary-educated folks in this church. Certainly that probably plays a little bit into the dynamics. One thing that I was kind of interested in by one of the interviewees was the phrase that she used, that there is an openness to not know all of the answers. So there's definitely a culture there that has been built that it's okay if you don't know all the answers to all of the hard questions. So I thought that was interesting. Certainly, it sounds like the teaching is leading into people making a change in their life. It sounds like there's a lot of teaching on reaching out to the oppressed and the marginalized and such, and it sounds like there's definitely a lot of people that are taking that to heart and getting involved in caring for the world. And another one of the interviewees said that there's always things to do in terms of volunteering and service and I suppose social justice issues. So they're very often encouraged to read beforehand so that they can be sort of somewhat prepared for the sermon. And there's also a real sense that it's okay to disagree on particular theology at this church. It's less of an issue if people agree, and it seems to be that there are diverse theological beliefs, which of course is something that I'm going to give some very good grades for, because that's a central focus of Eagles Wings Community Church. Even though we don't claim to be emergent, we definitely are inspired to see someone else doing something, at least with diversity of thought, diverse theology under one roof. So that's what we're encouraged to see that. They have sort of informal small groups at this particular church. They it's really nothing structured, but it just sort of happens. And apparently, one of my interviewers said that for a lot of people that really to them is the church. The large group gathering is kind of an event, but it's those small group gatherings that they really look forward to, for a lot of people anyway. So he also kind of mentioned that it would be very unlikely for somebody not to say hello to me during my visit, which several people did say hello to me. I had actually shared a story with him about a bunch of churches that I visited. I didn't name the churches, but I just said that it took me a while to find one where after I had gone to some particular churches for about 6 months or so each, and I had run through a string of 3 or 4 of them. And after 6 months of nobody saying hello to me, I began searching for a new church. And he said that would be very unlikely to happen at this particular church. So he also, though, did kind of mention, which I felt a little bit in the service, but of course I'm only able to go to one, but he mentioned that there's sort of a prevailing and vocal theological and political view, and there is a particular tone that kind of goes along with that view, and it's almost as though if you're sort of on the other side of the issue, then what you're going to feel is sort of an unquestioned nature, that the sort of dominant view on a few things is it feels like if you're in that minority view, maybe that you can't speak up and kind of voice your opinion on a few things, just because you know you're sort of in the minority. So. But that wasn't really a big focus of the interview. Certainly, a big focus of one of the interviews was the gal was really focused in on the fact that people can come and be who they are, and they don't have to change their views. They can hold the views that they want and such. So. I was encouraged to see also, or hear also, that on the occasion that I went, and if you see in the blog, there's some soapbox sermons that were done where just any member could stand up and do a 10-minute or a 20-minute sermon. And it was interesting to hear that one of the interviewees kind of said, you know, sometimes they're great, sometimes they're medium, sometimes they're not so great. And I kind of experienced the gamut on my visit, where definitely one was better than the other, more interesting and such. But what I think is interesting about this, though, is that he kind of mentioned right afterwards that what he definitely liked was that the church was willing to try new things, to try new ideas. So. Because of that, sort of some of the unwritten rules were, of course, that people really needed to be flexible and be willing to adapt, because you just kind of never know what's going to take place. Some other things that were some unwritten rules were just being respectful, especially when you're having disagreements. Listen, be kind to people, be welcoming. Connect with others and participate. And of course, participate is one of the sort of buzzwords when we talk about the other 4 themes that are in the written part of the blog. So you should check that out. And that's it. Blessings to you.